Thank you so much, Ambassador. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Don, good evening. I run the risk of leaving some people out here in my introductions, but I just wanted the guests here to know that among the team from Zimbabwe, we have the chief executive of our tourism board. We call it the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority. Ms. Winnie Mchanyuka, I think you will see her. She will be part of the panelists. We also have the head of our arts industry in Zimbabwe, Dr. Moya. I'm looking for him, I can't see you. Oh, he's right here. Head of research in our Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Authority, Professor Gandiwa, is here. We also have got people from my ministry, from tourism, as well as from environment. We've got the private sector here represented from Zimbabwe. So should you need to interact with any of these key sectors that I've highlighted, please feel free. We are here to discuss with you. To our distinguished guests here, we are so humbled that you have joined us this evening, the evening that the ambassador has called Zimbabwe Day. Wow. What a pleasure to have Zimbabwe Day in Berlin. I'm pleased to join you at this important occasion where we are gathered to talk about Destination Zimbabwe and the investment opportunities that one can consider. This comes at a time when the travel and tourism industry, and of course under other industries that suffered huge setbacks due to the COVID-19 pandemic, are reopening and recovering. The travel and tourism industry continues on a slow but steady recovery path, and this meeting couldn't have come at a more suitable time than now, when the whole world is gathered here in Berlin for the world's largest travel trade show, the International Tourism Exchange, ITB 2023. To our esteemed guests this evening, this economic forum is an ideal platform for Zimbabwe to share her story. A story of a place in Southern Africa with natural endowments and beautiful attractions. A story of a hardworking and truly hospitable people. Our people are our greatest assets. So the ambassador said they are beautiful at heart. I think they are also beautiful outside. So we are truly beautiful all around. Europe is a major trading bloc for Zimbabwe, and by way of demonstration, Zimbabwe's exports to Europe increased by 172% between 2017 and 2021. The increase signifies the growing trade relations between Zimbabwe and the EU, and I believe there is scope to nurture this and grow the volumes even more. As we look at what we offer for trade at the moment with the EU, we are selling mainly unprocessed tobacco, semi-processed agricultural products, as well as minerals. These are predominantly in raw form, and therefore our current focus is to move towards increased value addition and beneficiation in order to diversify our export basket. We need such trade arrangements that promote the growth of all parties, particularly the developing nations. I want to encourage all Zimbabweans and our esteemed guests here present to engage each other with the view of establishing business relationships for the purpose of growing trade between our countries. Zimbabwe recently participated in this year's editions of Fruit Logistica and Ambient Trade Fairs in Berlin and Frankfurt, respectively. The engagements we had at these fairs have shown that we have capacity to export fresh fruits and vegetables and arts and craft products to Germany and to the EU at large. Zimbabwe and Germany are both members of the Interim Economic Partnership Agreement, which offers quota-free duty access to qualifying products into Europe. This means Zimbabwean companies are able to export their products to Europe duty-free and quota-free using this agreement. On the tourism side, which is where I come from mainly, preliminary figures from the UNWTO indicate that international tourist arrivals globally recovered by 101.6% in 2022. Global tourist arrivals rose from 455 million to 917 million. According to the UNWTO data, tourist arrivals into sub-Saharan Africa rose by 134% from 19.2 million to 45 million in 2022. Still very low. In Zimbabwe, the tourism industry is also experiencing significant recovery. Tourist arrivals surged by 174% from as low as 380,000 in 2021. This recovery is a testament of the sector's resilience and perseverance in the face of global pandemics. It is noteworthy that all our markets more than doubled their 2021 levels, with arrivals from Europe increasing by 150%, and Germany, which is our third largest overseas source market, increasing by 333%. The Zimbabwean government has formed the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency, we call it ZIDA, an institution charged with both investment promotion and swift processing of the same. I'm happy to say that through ZIDA, we now have clear provisions on a non-discriminatory business investment and operating environment, repatriation of funds, ownership, and other critical factors that are intended to make the ease of doing business better for our investors. This institution has also seen the operationalization of the One-Stop Investment Services Center, which gives investors a seamless registration and license application process. Talking of investments, it is interesting to note that Zimbabwe received cumulative FDI amounting to 23.4 billion for the 4-year period from 2019 to 2022. Investments from Germany alone during the period under review amounted to 798,000, representing as low as 0.0034% of total investments into the country. However, an analysis of the investments for the year 2022 show that from Germany, we had a total of 329,000 FDI against a ZIDA recorded total of 2.3 billion, which translates to 0.014% of total investments for the year. This is an encouraging development, though our belief is that much more investments can be unlocked from this source market. The opportunities for investment in Zimbabwe include private partnerships in developing special economic zones. The country currently has 5 gazetted special economic zones covering a total area of 6,000 hectares in places like Mutare, Beitbridge, Bulawayo, and of course our esteemed Victoria Falls. The zones offer opportunities for individual and corporate investors interested in different sectors such as tourism, manufacturing, logistics, and technological parks. Zimbabwe is among the few countries in the world that is endowed with deposits of tradable minerals such as gold, platinum, diamond, nickel, and 17 rare earth minerals that are critical in this technologically driven world. This presents immense investment opportunities in the mining sector, where we are interested in the establishment of a value management center for cutting and polishing of diamond in greenfield exploration, for which government has established the Mining and Exploration Promotion Company. Investors are invited to explore partnership options with the company in its projects and undertake exploration and subsequent mine development. There is also a thriving small-scale mining sector in Zimbabwe, which presents opportunities for investors to come in as partners to grow the sector. The energy sector always has an important role to play in any developing economy. Zimbabwe has an installed capacity of 2,400 megawatts, 95% of which is owned by the Zimbabwe Power Company. 50% of electricity is generated from hydropower, while most of the remainder is from thermal power plants. Independent power producers currently contribute as low as 2% of the country's power supplies from mini hydropower stations. In order to meet the power supply demand gap, Zimbabwe imports 30% of its power requirements from neighboring countries that include Mozambique, South Africa, and Zambia. The energy sector presents investment opportunities in renewable energy, in the extension of the current pipeline into other SADC countries, in coal-bed methane gas, in the construction of an oil refinery, waste-to-energy investments, hydropower production, particularly along the Zambezi River, as well as many hydro sites across the country. Distinguished guests, a sector that is increasingly gaining popularity is the arts sector. The government of Zimbabwe has been deliberate in bringing the creative and cultural industries into the mainstream economy. This is attested by the inclusion of culture and heritage in our economic blueprint, the National Development Strategy 1. The strategy recognizes our culture and our heritage as having the power to transform societies, foster youth employment, and strengthen the economic trajectory. Through our different agencies, we have created sector-specific policies aimed at creating an environment that is conducive for partnerships and investments. The National Music Strategy and the National Film Strategy are some of the low-hanging fruits for our to-be investors. And I'm quite sure Mr. Moyo here will be able to speak to these. Some of the investment areas that one can tap into includes our crafts, our sculptures, cultural tourism, as well as the arts infrastructure. The world over, nations pride themselves on the level of the contribution to GDP by the arts sector. When the UNESCO cultural indicators were used in Zimbabwe, it was established that the creative and cultural activities contributed about 6% to Zimbabwe's GDP. We believe this level of contribution can be re-established and in fact surpassed. Coming to the tourism sector, I wish to state that the country has set a target of a $5 billion economy for the tourism economy, and we have identified new investments as a key driver towards the achievement of the set target. The question could be, where can one invest in this sector? Zimbabwe offers vast investment opportunities across all the facets of tourism and wildlife. Key investment destinations include Victoria Falls, Kariba, the Eastern Highlands, Harare, Bulawayo, among other areas. New investments and upcoming frontiers include our new city, which we are developing. We call it Mount Hampton. In addition, we have places like Binga, where we have inland beaches, Kwahi Shangani, Tukimkosi, and Kanyemba. With global tourism returning to normalcy in the post-COVID-19 world, businesses need to rethink tourism in terms of tourism investment, and Zimbabwe offers some of the exciting investment opportunities. And the investment opportunities exist in the development of convention and exhibition centers and facilities across the country, in the construction of new hotel and lodge facilities, in the construction of man-made attractions such as theme parks, investments in restaurants, nightlife activities, and water-based activities. I am aware that we shall be going into more detail in a panel discussion to cover some of the areas that I have briefly touched on. And in addition, I have a whole delegation available for bilateral engagements. In conclusion, our distinguished guests, I feel I've been standing for too long. Allow me to thank and congratulate the organizers of this event and everyone who contributed to the success of this event, directly or indirectly. I now invite you to watch the following video clips on tourism and investment in Zimbabwe. I thank you.